Ferrari's Las Vegas GP got off to a very rough start in FP1 when Carlos Sainz ran over a manhole drain, resulting in a 10-place grid penalty. And guess what? Ferrari has threatened to start a lawsuit against the FIA. Intriguing, right? Come, let's unveil all about this incident. F1's first taste of the Las Vegas Grand Prix has been little more than a disaster after the first practice session was brought to an end just 8 minutes in after Carlos Sainz's Ferrari struck a manhole cover. The drivers were already struggling with the cool conditions, making grip low, while Sainz's teammate Charles Leclerc was on top of the timesheet. Not much had been learned by the teams, and it would be a frustrating day as the drivers attempted to learn the new track on the F1 calendar. So FP1 was cancelled after 7 minutes. Now FP2 was delayed as the local engineering team had to check all the valve covers. Carlos Sainz said he had paid the price for Formula One's shortcomings after a 10-place grid penalty at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, because FIA regulations do not allow for mitigating unusual and unfortunate circumstances after the Ferrari F1 car hit a manhole cover. The first practice lasted only 8 minutes before Sainz's car hit the metal cover in a storm of sparks. The second session eventually started at 2:30 local time after safety checks. Race stewards turned down the Italian team's request for penalty-free repairs because they said they were obliged to apply the regulations as written. The stewards note that if they had the authority to grant a derogation in what they consider in this case to be mitigating unusual and unfortunate circumstances, they would have done so, they said. However, the regulations do not allow for such action. The Ferrari's survival cell, engine, energy store, and control electronics were all damaged beyond repair. Drivers are allowed 2 energy stores for the season, and the Spaniard Sainz will now be on his third, triggering an automatic 10-place penalty. Carlos Sainz took part in second practice, finishing second fastest behind teammate Charles Leclerc, and he hailed his mechanics for a heroic effort. The joy of getting back on track then evaporated when the team told him of the penalty. "I was quite excited and optimistic," he told reporters. "Unfortunately, as the session finished, the team told me I was taking a 10-place grid penalty for something that the team and I have no fault with, and obviously this has completely changed my mindset and my opinion on the weekend and how the weekend is going to go from now on. You will not see me very happy this weekend," he added. Sky Sports' Martin Brundle called it embarrassing. Vision, on board with Sainz, saw that the Spaniard hit a bump really hard and let out a groan before immediately being told, "Stop the car, engine off." The FIA confirmed it was a concrete frame around a manhole cover that broke Sainz's floor. Carlos appeared uninjured but didn't appear very happy with the issue. Sainz wasn't the only person to be dealt the frustrating blow with Esteban Ocon's Alpine garage, confirming that he had also damaged his floor with the same manhole cover. Alpine confirmed that they would have to change the chassis on the car number 31 due to damage from a suspected drain cover on track. Sky Sports' Ted Kravitz said it was unlikely that either driver would be able to return for the second practice session with just 3 hours between sessions. "Now, we know the manhole has cost Alpine a chassis, and we believe it has cost Sainz one as well," he said. "That means neither will make FP2, as it takes more than 3 hours to get a new chassis ready. The mechanics are dismantling the gearbox, and if that's okay, they can bolt that onto the new chassis when it gets into the garage. But it's quite a lot of work to do." The Spaniard said there would be overtaking opportunities, but he was too upset to discuss what might happen. "What happened today for me is a very clear example of how the sport can be improved in so many ways," he said. "The FIA, teams, rules, this could clearly be applied as force majeure for me not to take a penalty, but some ways there's always people, always ways to make the situation worse for an individual, and I think in this case it's my turn to pay the price." The first F1 race weekend on the famous strip was blindsided after Esteban Ocon ran over a water valve cover, with his Alpine lifting it proud of the resurfaced asphalt. His Alpine sustained damage and a yellow flag was waved, but Carlos Sainz still chattered over the loose cover. Here, the incident meant FP1 was red flagged after 8 minutes and then eventually abandoned, while FP2 was postponed by 2.5 hours as the 30 water valve cover covers around the circuit were inspected and fixed in place. The FIA stewards have acknowledged that the extreme circumstances should leave Sainz to take new parts from outside of his allocated pool of spares without a penalty, but the rules do not allow for this. They note having received a request from Ferrari for a derogation of the sporting regulations in order to allow a replacement of the energy store from outside of the pool without penalty, and having heard from the team representative, the director of the FIA single-seater department, Nicolas Tombazis. Having viewed video evidence and examined the team's declaration sheet, the stewards determined that notwithstanding the fact that the damage was caused by highly unusual external circumstances, Article 2.1 of the Formula 1 sporting regulations obliges all officials, including the stewards, to apply the regulations as they are written. Accordingly, the mandatory penalty specified under Article 28.3 of the sporting regulations must be applied. The stewards note that if they had the authority to grant a derogation I think it's tough for a team to arrive in Vegas and have this kind of incident, he said. If they considered this case to be mitigating, unusual and unfortunate circumstances, they would have done so. However, the regulations do not allow such action. Sainz and Ocon are due to take part in FP2 owing to a quirk in the regulations. Article 31.4 of the sporting regulations states that cars that have undergone a change in survival cell after initial scrutineering must complete a new declaration to be approved by the technical delegate. However, any car may not be used until the following day. Courtesy of the nighttime schedule for the Las Vegas GP, FP2 takes place after midnight, permitting the duo to run again. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur was furious over the incident and said it was effed up for sure. I'm frustrated. I'm also scared because Carlos hit a metallic part at 320 kilometers per hour, and it could have been much worse, added the Frenchman. After the first practice, Vasseur told reporters that the incident would cost his team a fortune. What he said is that I think I hit something on track, and he didn't know exactly what it was, he said. The situation is that we completely damaged the monocoque, the engine, the battery. I think it's just unacceptable. We had a very rough FP1 that will cost us a fortune. We effed up the session for Carlos. We won't be part of the FP2 for sure because he changed the chassis of his car. Okay, the show is the show, and everything is going well, but I think it's just unacceptable for everyone today. McLaren boss Zak Brown sympathized with Ferrari and said he would have supported a waiver. You've got to say that force majeure, that's nothing of their own doing, he told. A very unfortunate and unique incident. I think we need to have a bit more of a supportive element. If something like this happens, I would support them not giving a penalty. Alpine team boss Bruno Famin said that there is still hope Ocon would participate in the night session, though he was not certain. Not totally impossible. We may not be ready if the issue takes a bit longer. It could be possible, maybe a possibility, he said. It is quite bad. We have to change the chassis and the floor. We have to take the car into pieces. Quite challenging. It continues, what has been a tumultuous start for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which has seen street closures across the Vegas Strip. Furthermore, it seems like the FIA actions have aggravated Ferrari, not just because of the penalty, but also because they won't cover any of the costs, which will go over $2 million. The governing body, because this goes directly under the jurisdiction of the budget cap, and for the things to be more interesting, they have the support of Red Bull. And that's it for today. What do you think about the manhole creating trouble affecting the whole industry? Comment on your thoughts. And don't forget to leave a like and support by hitting the bell icon. Until next time.